I'm Kat, an independent midwife from Wales. Welcome to the Mother of All Podcasts, where nothing is off the table of discussion. If it leaks, cries, swears, screams, goes up, but doesn't stay up, we're talking about it. It's time to get raw and real. Your no BS guide to pregnancy, preconception, birth, adolescence, wet dreams, wet in the bed, coming home pissed. Who knows? Whatever. We're just going to talk about it. Life in parenting doesn't come with a manual. Well, not a decent one anyway. So let's just create a podcast. Welcome to the Mother of All Podcasts. I don't even know where that come from.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's not even in it.
That's good.
He'll put that in. So, hello. Quickly introduce yourself and tell everyone how you know me.
My name is Alistair. I am I'm one of the coaches at Everlast Fitness, and I have had the pleasure of PTing Katrina for what's it been now? 6 months?
Since January. 7
months now, because we're in July. So yeah, she's fit, strong, done a high rocks. I've got another one coming in October.
For my sins.
Yeah.
On my own.
Yeah, with a little bit of bullying, not much.
Oh, fucking dreading it. You're the head coach in Everlast, so say that.
I'm the head coach.
So I've brought you on to talk about, I was going to say single parenting, and we've just had a conversation about that, but it's not, it's co-parenting.
Yes.
You've got an absolutely beautiful little girl.
Thank you.
How old's Darcy?
She is 4. She'll be 5 in October.
So you have a very unique situation in which you still live in the house with Darcy's mum.
Yes.
When you told me about that, I was fascinated because in a weird way, it's actually ideal for the baby, for her. But I'm sure it comes with its complexities. Was that something you decided when you split up that was going to happen?
Yeah. So
why?
We knew it was going to be a longer process with regards to moving houses and getting things sorted. We didn't want to rush Darcy sort of through that sort of phase, and it's got to be right so that I can provide for Darcy and move out eventually, and Tash can stay in the house, which she's going to be doing, and can provide for Darcy as well. So we need to find sort of a nice balance where we've both got a bit of money and minimal impact on Darcy.
Yeah,
it's when you've got that common interest. It's what we need to do. I still want her to be going to her gymnastic clubs, her swimming clubs, seeing her friends and doing all these sort of things. I don't want to be so skint that I can't be doing that because I'm paying through the roof on mortgages and all that sort of thing. So when
you're obviously in a relationship and then you knew you were going to become a dad, did you ever think it would be this kind of dad?
I knew I'm relaxed but protective. That's the kind of sort of way that I am. I want them to I want her to kind of explore the world, and I want to try and get prepared to be into the outside world. I kind of think that's a father's job, is to prepare their child, boy or girl, for the outside world. To leave. Yeah, to a point, just to know that the outside world is grim, it's not pretty, it's not all butterflies and flowers in the garden, but also, I have got that little protective nature. If she comes back and she's had a little quarrel with someone at school, I want to kill him. Like, who's so-and-so's dad then? What am I doing?
I'm still like that now, as you know. At what point during her childhood did you realise this isn't for me? I can't stay in this relationship.
No, it was kind of like, it was through, she was probably about, where's she now? Sort of coming up to 5, probably about 3 years ago. So she was about 1.5, about sort of 2, that we had sort of conversations. I mean, this has been a mutual sort of thing where we were sort of, that the relationship's not kind of working, it's not ideal for us.
That in itself is huge.
Yes, and that's where we kind of, then you just feel like you're going through the motions. We were still technically together, but the relationship was kind of dead. And I think we both sort of realised that we were just sort of ticking boxes and to meet the other people's needs. And that does have a drain on you individually as well. Especially when you throw a baby, and it was in the time with sort of COVID. So we were sort of stuck in together. But it's when you've got that common interest, and that common interest is that little girl that we've both got, it does become easy. I mean, there are challenges along the way. Yeah. There's lots of challenges, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. But on the whole, it is working for us. I mean, it's not a forever sort of thing, but it is working for us. And like I said, my little girl's very, very happy at the moment still.
So you've done it for 3 years. You've co-parented in the same house, apart, but together for 3 years.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of, like, that's huge. You've got a lot of experience of it. If financially you could have, knowing what you know now, if financially you could have both gone your separate ways and had what you've got together, would have you done that?
It's in my mind, just staying together for Darcy was the sort of best thing. I mean, I come from a broken home as well. When my parents split up, I think it was about 10 or 11. And I spent every single birthday from 11 to about 18, my birthday cake was blown out wishing my parents were back together. And that stayed with me for a while. And I didn't want that for Darcy. I wanted her to have sort of a unit and around us and us to be around her, and that sort of family sort of nature. And you always do cling on to the hope that it's difficult when they're younger and they're slowly growing up and all those sort of things. And it does slightly become easier.
It does.
I mean, I know between sort of 1 to 3 to 4 maybe, everyone says it gets easier, but I think the challenges are just different. It gets harder in different ways, I think.
Yeah.
But as she's growing up now, you do maybe hold on to the hope that perhaps when things calm down with her, you may have a bit more time for each other and all that sort of thing. But then you do get to a sort of a point where you think, right, this isn't going to be what I can do sort of long term. Yeah. And then that's the sort of caveat. Well, what do you do? How much of yourself do you sacrifice for your daughter or for your child at that sort of point? And that becomes the tricky, and you're getting pulled one way because you think you can do it, and then mentally you start to suffer a little bit. You have the arguments, you have the quarrels and the bickers, not always, but sometimes when they're present, and I hate that so much. You try and walk away. You
can't block it out all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Has it changed your perspective on your upbringing, knowing now that you've gone through this?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a better parent for certain things that have happened in my past. I really think I'm a better parent for it. I mean, there's things that I've now realised since I've got a little girl. I don't understand how my parents did that to me and things like that. And I'm just kind of like, wow, this is unbelievable. And then you start to question, why did that happen to me? Why did that happen to me? Why did that happen to me? But you've got to channel that into something good, and you want to try and put that into become, right, I'm going to try and be a better parent and learn from maybe a bit strong, but my parents' mistakes, or what I would disagree with what my parents have done now. And just trying to channel that into her and just trying to become a better parent for your experience. That's what life is, isn't it? It's experiences. Trying to become better because of those experiences.
And me and Nathan say this to our kids. When you become parents, you definitely, like, they think we're perfect. I say it on every podcast because they genuinely do. And we're not. And we say to them, when you become parents, there are going to be so many things that you'll realise, well, no, that wasn't perfect. I'm not doing that. I'm not bringing that person up. When did you... Do you bob back and forth on leaving? Because I know you are actually, you're going to, aren't you?
Yeah, we are going to split up. Let's technically split up, but go our separate ways. Yeah, so.
Have you bobbed back? I know you said it's like, do you stay together in the same house for Darcy? But have you genuinely, even now sat here, are you still having second thoughts? Or is it the decision is like...
The decision is done now.
That's healthy.
Yes, I think it's healthy for like I said, I think it's healthy for myself, I think it's healthy for Tash, and like I said, you need to look after yourself, and then you can put more time
look after anyone otherwise.
Into the little one and things like that. You do need to, I think part of being a parent is being a little bit selfish as well, and putting yourself first, having an hour or two, whether it's for a bath and a pamper, for a gym session, for a walk, whatever you need to do, and then you come back and you're better for them now, rather than being full sort of blown. And that's kind of the way that me and Tash can still support each other, is because, right, I need to train at this sort of point. All right, you want to go away and do this, that and that. Okay, we'll work around that, and we'll be better for Darcy because of that.
What do your friends think, and what do her friends think of your situation?
I don't know what her friends think, to be honest. We haven't had that sort of conversation. Some of my friends will think you're mad and all that sort of stuff. Some of my friends will say, oh, that's lovely that you're still getting on and still doing that. I think, again, that comes from experiences of what people have gone through from their own sort of breakups. I mean, I know that me living with sort of my ex as co-parenting is maybe a unique situation, and getting on like that. But there's no need to be nasty and spiky and everything all the time. I'm not saying everything is completely perfect, but there's just no need for it. And if you can sort of, like I said, channel it into that that positive energy and put it in towards her.
Do you think when you split up, if you'd moved out straight away, that you would have had that negative bitterness towards each other? Because you've had to learn to like still live with each other and respect each other's boundaries and things like that. I personally think that's allowed you to kind of single parent in a more comfortable way.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I might be wrong. If you'd moved out straight away, she's literally on her own with the baby, and then you're literally on your own with, and a lot of bitterness and arguments would have played.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it becomes difficult, and there's maybe not sort of an abandonment issue because, like that said, oh, daddy's walking away, mammy's walking away, or whatever
it's bitter.
becomes. Yeah, and then there can be that sort of, maybe that sort of spitefulness and that resentment that's hovering around at that sort of point. But as we've still got to this point where we're still getting on and we're still helping each other out and we're still looking after Darcy really well, I think.
Yeah.
And it's even made splitting up the house a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It's all amicable. It's made me go and looking for flats and all the other things that I currently want to do in my life now easy. I mean, I'm doing things with my friends and she's doing things with her friends, and it's just a good back and forth relationship that we have at the moment. I mean, she hasn't long had her birthday, and I've taken a couple of weeks off holiday, so she can do 3 days of something here, 2 days of something here, so I can have Darcy if needed, and she wants to do stuff with her friends. So it's just a good to and from. It's just a healthy co-parenting relationship, I think.
What randomly, do people ask you if you're still together? Do people actually believe that you're split up?
I think because the social media side of things dropped down and all that sort of stuff, they don't still ask if we're still together. Maybe they don't ask because they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't told a lot of people. I mean, I've told some close friends, and I know even when you tell close friends, words can still get out.
Of course.
I mean, no one's got the mouth sewn shut for anybody. But it's... No, I just kind of think they either know or they don't know. Some people might come up to me and ask them, what's happening, what you're doing with the house, what you're doing with this, what you're doing with that, which I just tend to deflect depending on the person.
Classic man.
Just deflect it away, depending on who it is. But no, I think that the ones that know, and the ones that don't, they just either aren't interested, which is brilliant.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does it work? That's what I want to know. Like, how have you been able to live together so amicably?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's that one common interest, which is making that little girl happy. I mean, I know the days that I'm on school drop-off.
Yeah.
Tash knows the days that she's on school pick-up. And it just works and it rotates like that. Then we'll have conversations, right? What you're doing on this weekend, and saying, right, well, Darcy's got swimming in the morning, right, okay, so that's a little bit of time. I want to spend a bit of time with her in the afternoon, so I'm probably going to take her to the park and everything. And then Tash will, that's brilliant, I want to have a bath, I want to pot around the house and do whatever, and I get my time and I take her to the park and all that sort of stuff. And then we sort of might come back, I might go to the pub with my friends in the evening or something like that. It's just, we're both getting a little bit of time together. We're both getting time with Darcy, which is the main important thing, and she's getting time with us.
Yeah, together.
At those certain sort of junctions. And she can just see healthiness and happiness at the moment, although she's not actually fully aware that we're not together.
That was my next question. How are you going to prepare? Because I know you're dreading it. You're not dreading moving on, because you've done it for long enough now. But how are you going to prepare her for it? Because she sees you as a close-knit threesome. She does,
but she's known the way that we are now. Like I say, we usually have odd shifts, so we don't cross over too much.
Yeah.
But she does. This is just all she's sort of known, really. I mean, we both work in the fitness industry with lates and earlys, long shifts, and all that sort of stuff. So it's all she's kind of. But it is the bit that I'm dreading. Is telling her, we're going to go about it. We've brought books, we've looked at articles and all that sort of stuff to tell her and to ease it out. And it's just sort of focusing on the positives, I think. I mean, I think she wants me to buy a cat, so I'm going to get a cat when I move
Puppy.
out. I don't like dogs. Don't put that on there. But
it will be going on there.
Dogs aren't for me. But I think she wants me to buy a cat, little things like that. I'll get her into decorating my room, her room, when she gets to my new place. But I think it's going to have to be a sort of a phase thing. It's going to have to sort of phase it over.
Yeah, not just dad's gone.
Dad's gone. So the idea is that we'll tell her towards the end of this school term, which I think is the 18th of July.
Yeah.
maybe not then because my birthday's on the 19th of July, so we might leave it till the next week. We're going to sit down and tell her then. Then she's got a good sort of period of time then when we're still sorting out the house and bits and bobs with that she can sort of trying to get her head around.
And
she's
questions.
Still got time with ask questions, and that'll be a fun time for her as well because she sees a childminder those days. Monday to Thursday. So the childminder's absolutely fantastic.
And she'll help.
Do stuff. And she'll have fun though, so she won't be switched off. It won't be at school where she dreads going. She'll be around other friends that she's got. They'll go to Barry Beach, Markham Park and all this sort of stuff, and then we're sort of prepared for these sort of questions and things like that.
Do you feel like you're leaving?
Yes, to a sense, because I'm leaving the house. I wanted Darcy to we both wanted Darcy to stay settled, so they're gonna stay in the house and I'm gonna go, which is brilliant. She doesn't have to move school. She's got some lovely friends. But it does feel like I'm leaving, but I don't want her to feel like she's being that sort of abandoned. So it's kind of just like getting her hyped up for sort of 2 homes, 2 sort of Christmases as they speak, and double the presents, and letting her have an input in what's going to be happening and things like that. I think that's important. And obviously we're going to try and sort of bring it in so it's phased. It's not just maybe she'll come around my house for tea and then go back to her mother's. Come round and maybe spend a movie night and then go back to her mother's. And we'll just slowly sort of phase her into it like that. It is going to be difficult because I'm not the default parent.
Not much off though.
It's not
like 60-40.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, maybe 70-30, but it's kind of just like her mother is the default parent. This is the go-to. I mean, they've slept in the same bed for 3 years, those two. So which is lovely, and I know Tash loves that. But we're going to have to just be a bit of understanding with that, and it may not get my sort of see her that much over that sort of time, but like I said, she's got to come first. I've got to sort of if I have to miss her but she's happy, that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Well, do you see yourself going back to stay there? You know, you said you're gonna, or you just
I think it's got to be gone and out. I don't want to add the confusion
to her. Even though you'll be like,
I know, I don't want to add the confusion of like, oh, daddy's gone. Oh, but he's come back 2 days later. Oh, he's gone. Oh, but he's back a weekend later, and all that sort of stuff. I think it's go, and then get myself sort of sorted on my feet with wherever I'm going to go, because I haven't found that place yet. But find that out and let her have a little bit of input into, like I said, what's going on in her bedroom. If I have to get a cat, I have to get a cat, if that excites her. She'll be fed up with it in 6 months.
You'll be left with a little moggy.
Or she'll ask, can I take it to Mammy's? I'm like, 100%.
Yeah, go for it.
Chuck it in your bag. I'm going away for 3 days.
So we sound like we're romanticising it, because it just sounds like a perfect scenario. There's got to have been grim moments.
Yeah.
What?
There are sort of grim moments when you're arguing, and when sort of things... Like I said, everyone has those down days, those grumpy days, times when things aren't going right. I mean, sometimes I can be busy. I can be working 7 days straight. A lot of those days are starting 9:30 in the morning and not home till 10:30 at night. I might not have the amount of time to spend doing housework as I should have, and I can get pulled up on sort of things like that, which is completely understandable. Whether I'm in the mood to take it or not is at the flip of a coin.
That's like any relationship.
Exactly.
And co-parenting is still a relationship. I think that's what people... They find it hard to, because you've split up. That's why I just think your situation's ideal. It might not have felt it at the time, but you split it up. You're no longer in a relationship, but you're actually going to be in a relationship forever. Until you die, because you parent together. And you had to navigate that living in the same house. Like, what was that like?
It was, like I said, it comes with its challenges and these sort of things, but it's just that. Like I keep saying, that common interest, that little girl, and it's just like I said, I've slept on my own, and basically Darcy's got 3 rooms. She sleeps in the room with her mother. She's got her old baby room, which is now her playroom, and the princess room, which is where I sleep, which is the bed that technically she should, if we were together, she should be sleeping in. So that's the way things are. She's got the whole house on lockdown as it is, but. Yeah, like I said, navigating certain issues that are coming up, but it is just about sitting down. I mean, like, I have to give a little, Tash has to give a little, and all these sort of things. I mean, like when we're dividing up the house and all that sort of stuff, that could be that was tricky at that sort of point. because I need enough money to be able to go to set myself up so that she can have everything, because I will want to be able to buy sofas and beds and all this sort of stuff that I need to go and go away and make sure that she's got somewhere that she's safe and that she feels comfortable to be. I also need to move close enough so that...
That's what was my next question. Are you going to stay local?
Yeah, I need to stay local to a point. I want to be doing the school runs. So the best part of the day is the school run in the morning, sun shining. Walking down hand in hand through the playground, she's belting out these songs and all that sort of stuff. I love that, but so I'm going to stay as local as I can. I mean, probably sort of move no more than sort of 15 minutes away, so it's an easy sort of trek into school, and then close enough for work at that sort of point as well. During
your period of time of living together, have either of you had a serious relationship?
I'm in a serious relationship at the moment. I've been seeing someone for about sort of 3 or 4 months. Tash is fully aware about this, and she's been really, really good around it. She has even moved shifts around so that maybe I can spend a little bit more time with the person that I'm singing and all that sort of the person that I'm seeing and all that sort of stuff, which has been lovely. To credit to her, she's been absolutely fantastic in and around that. But again, I've been honest around that, and I've not tried to hide it, and I've not tried to cover it. That's part of moving on, and that's part of trying to build up and trying to sort of build yourself back up after. Obviously, breakups are tough and all that sort of stuff. Is that sort of thing, and I'm sure when it comes her time to do that, I will fully support her and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's still conversations to be had around Darcy and that sort of dynamic, but we're a long way away from any sort of
introducing.
Yeah, a little bit of a way away from that. So
because that's massive.
Happening. That is massive. Yeah, because like as a protective parent, which I am, which I think most fathers are, fathers of daughters are. If you're a protective parent, it can be sort of you don't like anybody else cross words at your child or anything like that.
What about, has Tash met anyone else?
Not that I know of. I'm sure she'd be 100% honest with that, as I have been. I don't think so, no. She's a very, very busy lady. She's even busier than I am. Very successful as well. So I think she's more focused on that and focused in on Darcy. Obviously, I get a little bit more free time. Not much free time, mine, but I do get a little bit more free time. So I don't think she has, but like I said, I will be able to fully support her and be there for her in that sort of when that dynamic occurs.
It sounds like you both have the same morals, and which is golden in parenting, whether you're together or not. Do you both have your same morals in that? So, like, if you got into a serious relationship, it would be a long time before Darcy was introduced to either.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be. That'll be discussed with her mother before I get into any sort of place where I'm going to be doing anything like that. I mean, make sure that she's happy for it. I mean, I know it's not going to be easy because it's going to be really, really hard, and I'd expect that. And you do think about these things when and all that sort of stuff. So I know that's not going to be easy, but it's a little bit of a way away. But that'll be a discussion when we sit down and say, look, this has been it now. I've been moved out for this sort of period of time. I've still been seeing this person. I'm gonna sort of.
You'll know when you're ready, I think. I don't sympathise with you.
No,
doing
that's probably going to be the trickiest bit to navigate. Is
it's the next phase, isn't it?
Somebody else that I'm not used to. I mean, Tasha's an absolutely fantastic mother.
You've always said that.
Yeah, meeting my daughter who may have different parenting skills, different sort of things, and different dynamics like that. And then, of course, it's not directly going to be her daughter, or when it's Tash, his daughter. So there's always going to be, there's no connection like that, I don't think. I mean, there's nothing against step parents or anything like that. But, and I not picking on anything in particular, but I just, once you've got that connection and once it's your own, I think it's completely different. So there's not going to be that sort of connection there. So there needs to be sort of a little bit of sort of giveaway. And the last thing you want is coming home saying, oh, so-and-so shouted at me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Do you know what?
Why did he do that? You've got to keep calm, and you just got to think, well, why did he shout at you? Oh, because I threw something
and
at the
inside
TV.
You're like,
well, there we go then.
Okay, a big thanks to our sponsor, In Home Flooring. Elevate your home with their beautiful stair runners. Don't forget to mention Mother of All Podcasts. You'll get 10% off at your home visit. For more info, go to www.inhomeflooring.co.uk.
That's why you got shouted at. That's fair enough.
Yeah, that I never even thought of that.
They're the main things that have gone through my head. In this sort of situation. That's going to be the tough sort of thing, because it is sort of, I like my daughter Dawn. My daughter to be raised to be confident, I want to be strong, I want to be happy. I don't want anybody. I spend a lot of time trying to build that confidence up, and I know it can be knocked down very, very quickly.
God, one word.
By sort of anybody, anything, any sort of scenario, and that can sort of be destroyed. So you've got to be quite protective of that, I think. But like I said, her mother's fiercely protective of her as well. And this is a long, long way away, I think. So
I'm going to flip, I always do. Where does that instilling confidence into little girls? Is it because of the environment you work in?
A little bit. I don't want her to worry about what other people are thinking. I think if she can just go in and be herself, she will just lead a happy life. I mean, some people are just put on this earth to kind of bring other people down. I mean, there's all these trolls on the internet and all that. I mean, social media doesn't help. You've got to look a certain way. I mean, even look at my sort of, as a PT now, I even think you've got to be in good shape now to be a busy PT. But I don't think you go back 10 years or sort of even 15 years ago, that was necessarily the case. I mean, it helps, but I'd still only hire a PT if I wanted a PT myself based on their brain, not by necessarily the way that they looked. Yeah, but I think now the way that social media has taken off, and certainly Instagram and things like that, you have to look a certain way, and that's how you get clients. I mean, I know some really, really good personal trainers who perhaps don't look the best that they ever had, but their brain is unbelievable. And I do think there's sort of two ways. I mean, you can get yourself into shape, fantastic, but getting somebody else into shape and getting somebody else motivated to complete a high rocks like yourself and things like that is another sort of challenge. I mean, and that's where sort of their knowledge and their coaching ideas.
Well, it's called personal training for a reason, isn't it?
Personal training.
Yeah,
I said
that's what you said to me
Yeah.
when I was having a bad day. The face
I'm going to put the personal into personal training today.
The ladies who I spoke to this morning, they're pelvic health physios, so it's all about female health, and we were talking about how like women are phenomenal. Not in a, I'm very pro-man, not in a suffragette kind of way. I actually hate all that. Women should be equal, and we're not. We're not fucking equal, and we shouldn't get paid the same for something that a man can do better, and vice versa. Yeah. That's very open in a gym. So in your working environment, and you teach a lot of females, don't you? Are they the majority of your clients?
Yeah, the majority of my clients are females. The majority of online clients, I'd say, are females as well.
So you hear all the stuff that we're constantly saying, like, oh, I hate my body, and looking at this and showing you pictures, this is what I want to look at. And you're bringing up a little girl. Yeah. That's why you want to instill confidence in her. Yeah. That's fascinating.
Because I want her to just grow up to be able to walk into any room.
And feel good.
Feel strong. Even just feel like she's the best person in that room. Just walk with her head held high, stilettos on, her shoulders back, and that sort of thing. Just looking, right, I'm confident, I'm in this room. I mean, a lot of confidence, a lot of things can be sort of passed just from appearing to be confident about sort of things anyway. So even if she's not feeling as confident or having a sort of a bad day, just even pretend to be confident, because I think you can just get away with a lot of stuff. Oh yeah,
wing it.
Just wing it. Yeah. Just pretending to be confident. Just pretend that you are, and you'll get away with a lot of things. But no, I really want her to just be so confident, super, super confident, and that's what will push you sort of, even get you sort of further in life as well. And
it will.
Like that.
Do you both agree on that, you and Tash?
Yeah.
Because it's British mentality. If someone comes in and they're overconfident, you're like, oh, look at that cocky twat. Mm. And actually, you're not. You're just comfortable in your own skin, and that's golden. And I wish I'd instilled it in I genuinely think my kids can lift cars. That's a true story. Evan sent me a picture. He's like, look at this car I just lifted, and I genuinely believed he did. That's how much belief I have in my kids. But I don't know if I instilled that in them. It's how I feel. Yeah. It's really difficult to instill confidence in your kids because you're sending them off to school. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, I've never heard a dad say it. So like, you always think it's a mum's job.
Yeah. I always think that confidence is, you you're going to get ridiculed, you're going to get picked on. It's usually by other people anyway, isn't it? And like I said, if you can disregard other people's opinions, I think you're going to go a long way in life anyway. But even if you're weak and you're feeble, or you're strong and you're confident, you're going to get picked on anyway. So I'd rather her just be able to just disregard it. Yeah, I'm strong enough to ignore that. Oh, well, whatever. Think what you want to think.
And do you think she's got that, like, already? She got a bit of that
Yeah, she's got a bit of that. She'll walk through the playground, like I said. I do most of the drop-offs.
Yeah.
She'll walk through there singing her songs, all sorts of stuff, louder the voice. And I know that's going to drop off. That's a confidence thing. Whether it's because at the minute, because she's walking there holding my hand and I'm letting her do it. I never tell her to be quiet. We never tell her to stop singing because we wanted to have that sort of confidence.
Voice.
Yeah, wanted to have that sort of voice. And she's also got this mad ability to be able to, which I think is really important as well, is just to be able to move on from anything.
Really?
And just to get sort of the best out of the current situation. She's obviously been naughty a few times. She's obviously played up, and we're like, right, you need to go and have 4 or 5 minutes upstairs in your room. And then we'll set Alexa, and Alexa will go, bah, 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 bah. We'll say, Darcy, you can come down now. And she'll go, no, I'm all right up here playing now. And like, it's not even a punishment after 2 minutes.
That's fucking genius.
And I love that. She just made the most.
Make the most out of the situation.
Out of a situation she's been put in. She'll stay up there again for another 20, 25 minutes playing, come down with a dress on and say, look what I look like now coming down. Oh my God. It's brilliant. But like I said, confidence and just that ability to just be able to just...
Do you think that's a learned behaviour? I'm obsessed with human behaviour, so nature, nurture. Are you like that as a person? Is Tash like that as a person? Has she got it off either of you?
I tend to hold on to sort of things.
Are you a grudger?
Yeah, it's much to my demise, I'm sure, but I am a little bit of a grudger. I tend to forgive but not forget, and then I'll never forget, but I'll forgive and I'll sort of try and make the most of it. But it'll always be in the back of my head. Like, yeah, you did that 3 years ago now, and it's just
so she don't get it from you then.
No, I don't think she gets it. I don't think she gets it from me, but it's just that I'm not even sure she gets that from her mother. Actually, it's just that innate ability to be able to. Right, I've been put in this situation now. I'm going to make the most out of it. That's absolutely fine. I think that's a brilliant trait to have as well. And as far as I know, I believe it's come from her herself. Go upstairs, and then she's just like, "Nah, you can come down now. Nah, I'm all right up here now. Thanks." It's like, brilliant.
There's adults out there that can't do that.
I know, and I'm just like, wow. And we just let her play up there, and she's singing. She's up there. She's happy, or she'll go upstairs and after 2 minutes just start giggling because she started doing something, just making the most out of that situation. Wow, it's fantastic.
What's the thing you're going to miss the most about living in the same house? Obviously her, I get that.
It'd be seeing her as much as I do will be hard. Those sort of days when I'm not seeing her. I think those days when you've got no work, you've got nothing on, your day's off, and then you think, right, I'm not doing the pickup, so I've genuinely got nothing. I think those will be the hardest days. The days when she gets dropped off or I drop her off, and then
you're not going to see
her for a couple of days. You go back to an empty house and all that sort of stuff. I think that's going to be sort of a challenge. But like I said, that's part of growing up as well for me as well, as a sort of part of our journey and becoming sort of, it's co-parenting, isn't it? At the end of the day, and it's saying
is literally
that, and it's going to hurt. It's going to be a pain in the ass sometimes, but it is what it is.
What? Because you said Tash and Darcy are super close, and we spoke about this. Yeah. Do you think that's going to be hard for Tash when she's with you?
I do, yeah, I think so, and I think maybe the sort of phasing out sort of thing is probably best for both of them as well. Yeah. Which I'm kind of happy to go along with as well. I mean, it's got to be sort of, I've got to respect the pair of them. But I do think, like I said, I'm kind of a little bit more used to it now. I mean, I do the school drop-offs, and then I'm usually on late shifts, and by the time I do that, so then Darcy goes to bed, so I'm only sort of rushing her out the door for that 1 hour, and then I'm at work then, and by the time I get back I just do the repeat the next day, and that tends to happen 2 or 3 days a week, which is a little bit tough, but that's only since I've been working where I'm working now. And before that I spent the most sort of time with her. I spent all the sort of time with her, but like I said, shifts and money
is that going to change? Will you have to change your working life? Yeah. So working patterns will have to sort of be considered. We're going to sit down and come up with sort of a pattern of when we see each other. To be honest, I'd prefer it if it wasn't just sort of, if we split it 4 days and 3 days, for example. If I wasn't not seeing her for 4 days, I'd rather have one and then that's massive.
For two, and then a couple of the days. So it's not just so sort of. I think that'll be good for Darcy. I think that'll be good for Tash as well. So it's not just right. her mother drops her off
Monday
at school
to Thursday.
and then not seeing her until the Thursday or something like that.
Have you spoke about that?
Loosely, yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's probably one of the big things that we're going to have to try and navigate. Because obviously we both love that little girl to bits.
Yeah.
So navigating that's probably going to bring some emotions and probably going to bring some things in. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm happy to sort of phase it in and sort of, even if it takes a couple of months for her to be seeing me the full time that she's going to.
Oh my God, I can't. My heart.
It's going to have to be, because at the end of the day, it'd just be better for her.
It's her, yeah.
It'd just be better for her.
Fucking hell, that's a killer. What are any of your friends single dads co-parenting?
There's a couple. I'm not naming names, obviously, but there is a couple. I think I don't know. I tend to think I know a lot of people, a lot of clients as well, who are going through similar situations to what I am as regards to breakups.
With kids involved.
With kids. I know a couple of people. And I don't know whether it's an age thing. I mean, I'm 38 now, I'm 39 this month, and it's just kind of like whether it's an age thing. And a lot of my clients are around that sort of age. A lot of my mates obviously are, and they're going through sort of their own sort of stories. I don't know whether it sort of comes at this sort of age or I think it's generational.
Yeah. It's wild because I'm 49, and me and my husband are still together very happily, and we had our bumps and things. But quite a lot of our friends are as well, which is weird. My kids' mind, when they were in school, their friends' parents were all kind of splitting up and divorced, but we got together very young. So I do think it's a culture thing, but I also think it was COVID.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of things around COVID that force things in relationships. And like you said, so did you split up during COVID?
No, it was we kind of like sort of recognised the relationship wasn't working
in
around
COVID.
That sort of, around that sort of, was probably about 3 years ago. I mean, where does that put us now?
COVID.
So it puts us around about that sort of time. We recognised it wasn't sort of working and things like that. You carry on trying to meet each other's needs. You have another conversation, another row. It's not working. Okay, and then I'm sleeping in a separate room, and then that drives another sort of divide. But it's, like I said, the first lockdown, I was actually all right. I think it was really, really hot, wasn't it?
I loved it.
Brilliant, the first one.
I love lockdown.
Definitely. It actually worked in our advantage, actually, thinking about it. Because I had, was it 4 weeks you get for paternity leave? 4 weeks off paternity leave. And the day I was supposed to come back, or was it 2, was it?
It's disgusting.
And the day I was supposed to come, that's right, I had 2 weeks holiday, 2 weeks for paternity. The day I was supposed to go back, we went into that little mini lockdown, I think it was.
Yeah.
Where there was a week or two where they put in, so I had another 2 weeks at home with the baby, which was brilliant. So that 6 weeks really worked out well for me. And then I think we went into another lockdown around December time, wasn't it? Sort of towards Christmas time, and that was the one I. That was more brutal. Yeah, I struggled in that one. I wasn't happy during that one. I got a little bit bored. Can't go outside as much. Obviously, the sun's not shining. Yeah, in with a newborn baby at that sort of point. I can't remember how long we stayed in for that sort of period of time, how long that was. But that was a hard one. I struggled with that one. I don't think it was anything to do with Darcy.
No.
I just think it was that being sort of locked in. It was like you get a bit of freedom, then you're straight back in. Yeah. The first one, it was all sort of novelty and all that sort of stuff, wasn't it?
Did you instantly bond?
With the Darcy? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
Seriously?
Yeah, no problems with anything like that. I mean...
I can tell you're obsessed now, but I mean, like...
when she was born, she was... Like I said, it was COVID, and I got kicked out of the hospital. She was born at 4:10 on a Saturday. I got kicked out by about 6:30, 7 o'clock because of COVID, and then they had to stay in together. I wasn't allowed to go back in the next day, so I was just at home doing nothing. I had a daughter all of a sudden. House was tidy because I couldn't stop moving because I had all this energy.
Because you got ADHD.
Because I had all this energy. Couldn't put anything into any. Couldn't clean anything more, and then I was able to go and pick him up on the Monday morning, I believe. We didn't get confirmation of when we could, so I was working out, I was just getting on with my day. I was in the gym at the time.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call saying, you come pick me up. I was legging it down, and that was fine. And then everything was absolutely brilliant. We did shifts for looking after Darcy. Everything was absolutely fantastic. She kind of lent more towards her mother with regards to her mother being the default parent. I would say about 18 months, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been a while, so about 18 months.
Were you on the verge of splitting up then? Or were
we were in... No, not at that sort of point. I remember we were in Bluestone Holiday Park. We took her away and we were doing a little bit of that. And she was teething at the time. And that's when she kind of started, she didn't want me to go near her. I wasn't allowed to go near her, I wasn't allowed to hold her, I wasn't allowed to touch her.
How'd you feel?
She'd kick off, she'd get all angry. Well, to be honest, I didn't know the period of time that it was going to go on for. Right? I mean, she's miles better now.
Yeah.
Miles better. But there's a period of time, I didn't know the period, I thought, this is bloody brilliant then.
Yeah.
We're walking around, you can't hire those golf carts or anything at Bluestone. So we were walking everywhere. She didn't want me to hold her. I wasn't even allowed to push her in the pram. So I was like, this is brilliant. Just walking around. I'm having a proper holiday, doing nothing. And like I said, it even got to a point where she wouldn't let me put her in the car. She'd kick off. I couldn't put her out of the car. She'd just be angry. And I know to a point you're sort of supposed to just force the issue. And so come across that all parents are sort of equal in that sort of situation. But it is hard when you know you're going to go around to get your daughter out of the car. And she's just going to be kicking and screaming and angry, and you're just like neighbours' curtains twitching. Oh, he's taking her out of the car again. He must be doing something wrong. Was she
that bad?
Yeah, from that sort of period of time, for about 1.5, I'd say, for a good year to about 2.5. She'd let me do certain things, but she wouldn't let me sort of get out of the car. It would just be an effort. She'd be kicking off. If the two of us were together. Other certain things, never wanted me to play with her, never wanted me to do this, never wanted me to do
You're
that.
You're such a hands-on dad.
At some sort of point. If her mother was out, that'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's that sort of period of time she wouldn't want to do anything. I couldn't feed her, I couldn't do all sorts of stuff, just without her getting angry and all that sort of stuff.
She's such a strong character.
I know, like I'd be giving her sort of all that sort of stuff. It was unbelievable. And then that went on that sort of strong, I'd say, for about 9 to 12 months. I think she was a little bit like that, when she was that strong-willed, and I wasn't allowed to do anything in and around it without her kicking off. I still do little bits for her. I'm not pretending that I didn't, but even if I put her in the bath and her mother went out, she'd just look out of the room, she'd look at me and just burst into tears. I'd be like,
oh my God.
Heck. I know, but it's...
Are you worried that will rear its ugly head when you move out?
No, I don't think it... Well, hopefully not. I don't think it'll rear its ugly head. But
you do a lot together, though.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. We do a lot. I do a lot with her, and she's much better now. I mean, she still misses her mother, but she still misses me when I'm gone and all that sort of stuff. But they do have that sort of nighttime bond where they're in the same bed together, and that kind of, they wake up together. She's the first person she sees. So, like I said, that's going to be the bit we've got to navigate. When I sort of move out of the house. But no, I'm sure she'll be fine. We just got to be a little bit sensitive. Well, I've got to be sensitive towards both of them as well.
Yeah, but give yourself some grace as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, definitely. I think women are always the default parent. Women are nuts. I say this to you all the time. We are absolutely schizo.
Yeah.
Very, very manipulative when we want to be. I'm not saying I'm saying it. Suffragettes, come at me. I don't give a shit. It's true. We're very capable of getting our own way. And I'm not saying Tash is like that. She sounds like a dream, actually.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, advice from me, you've got to fight to be, you're not a sperm donor.
Yeah.
And you're not a babysitter. I hate it when single dads are like named in that category when actually, and I'm sure Tash would agree, you're just way more than a sperm donor.
Yeah.
It doesn't change when you like split up. It drives me mental when there's like no positivity about dads who have 50-50 contact with their kids.
Yeah.
It makes me really angry anyway, because I'm very pro man. So an avatar, a man your age, going through something like you are, would you advise them to co-parent in the way that you have, or would you be like clean break, mate?
Yeah, I would advise. I would do it, because there's things that I would have missed out on. I wouldn't have seen Darcy as much as I have. But then I would also say to a point, there's only so much you can't put yourself. You're putting yourself last for. I mean, Darcy will always come first, but then at some sort of point you've got to think, right, I've got to get on with a bit of my life myself now.
Yeah, you're 39.
Yeah, I'm 39 now. I've still got to sort of try and build again and find out what I want to start doing and kind of move in a different direction. Also try and start building sort of, not necessarily an empire, that's a bit strong. I'm by far an introvert. But there we go. But something for Darcy to have at some sort of point that she can have, whether that comes through my own business or, I don't necessarily agree with owning houses and handing that down, but something like that, something that can sort of, she can fall back on, or something that she can have. It's just that's sort of my main focus now, is to get that in line for her.
And you can't do that in the situation that you're in.
And in the current situation, you can feel a little bit stuck, and you feel like, right, I can have a little bit more free time. Let's use that free time for a positive. Like, turn a negative into a positive. Use that free sort of time and try and build something, get a little bit of something going, just to give her a little bit of a better life when she's.
Do you see more kids in the future?
I would like, Another child, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I would have another child. I'd have another little girl as well. I mean, not many men say that either, but I would have another little girl. Another sort of crack at a family, so to speak.
That's so lovely to hear.
But I would have a little, then sort of call it sort of hybrid family now, isn't it? We all sort of mix. That's a nice term for it, a hybrid family, I think. But yeah, I would consider having maybe just one more. Mind, I'm not having an old sort of flock or herd or anything.
I would have had 10.
Maybe sort of one more would be nice.
Have you and Tash spoke about that?
About me having another child,
and her, like moving on and starting other families.
I think she's keen that she understands that I would.
Really?
Yeah, she knows that I'll probably try and have another child at some sort of point. But a lot's got to be right. Like I said, I'm not getting any younger to a certain point, and I really don't want to be the old man at the playground who can't do anything when the kids are running around. But
like even having those conversations with your ex-partner is so enlightening, so important, but. You're an anomaly. Like, I don't think you both realise that what you've done is wild. Like, such a positive thing for your daughter.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't happen. No. It's bonkers. Like, I come from a broken family. So did my husband. There definitely wasn't any co-parenting going
exactly.
on.
Yeah, there was same here. There was no sort of co-parenting.
No, and a lot of bitterness around the whole situation. It's like, I do more than you. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you've both had days like that. And like I said, as women, I can guarantee I say it more than my husband. Well, I do more than you. Well, I may as well fucking do it myself. And
I've been at work since that. All
that competing. But because you've already had to navigate that in the closest proximity, I just think it's amazing.
Yeah.
3 questions for you, which they all dread. So the first one, what's a defining moment in your life?
I think the most defining moment in my life has probably come from 2 separate occasions when my mother kicked me and my brother out, and then my father kicked me out at some sort of point.
So you got kicked out from your mum's and you moved in with your dad?
Yeah, my stepfather.
Right,
I moved in with my stepfather. I think that was a big moment. And then about 5 or 6 years, I was 11 and my brother was 9. That sort of point, literally just stuff put on the lawn. Literally, that was just it. Get rid of them, stuff put on the lawn. That was a big moment. And then happened sort of, my stepfather ended up doing it again. So I went back to my mother's. I think it was about 15, 16, that sort of period of time later. But I was living with my stepfather for that sort of period of time. But I think, like I said, trying to turn a negative into a positive.
That's why you're doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, you can channel that into goodness for the little one. Plus, if your parents can do that to you, like I said, he was my stepfather, but he did raise me from sort of, I think it was about 1.5, I think it was.
Fucking
so
hell.
Obviously I saw him as a father at that sort of point. But when your parents will do that to you, you get to sort of, I'm not scared of losing anybody now. I'm not scared of losing anybody. Obviously Darcy aside, I'm not scared of losing anybody. If someone wants to go, that's absolutely fine because the worst has already happened. So that's probably a big sort of point.
Christ.
So you're kind of almost fearless now when you go into relationships. And I was not saying if you break up with people, you don't want things to end.
Of course, you're upset.
Sort of stuff. Yeah, but you
have the ability to move on.
Yeah, you just don't.
That's where your daughter gets it from. You know, when you send her to a room.
Yeah. Maybe that's
it's always like
it's
always like this linear line. Can you remember how you felt back then?
Yeah, I can remember little bits being put onto the lawn, and then obviously social work or whatever it was back in those days came and picked us up, and then my stepfather came and took us both away. I think my mother had her own issues at that sort of point, but. Then that was kind of just like another thing. I think I was 11. I think.
How old's your brother?
He was about 9, I think. I think it's 18 months between us. So it would have been around that sort of point. So I was just kind of thinking, well, looking after him and what's going to happen with him. He ended up going back to live with my mother.
Did you feel abandoned
so we stayed
then?
Separate. No, I sort of felt safer around my father rather than that sort of. I think that I kind of associated that with chaos. Then is that sort of point with chaos. I wanted to leave that, and then I'd never really had the same relationship with my mother after that.
I was just going to ask, how's your relationship?
I mean, I was sat down then. A few months after that, and they both sat me down and asked me, who do I want to live with?
Oh my God.
At that sort of age, and I'm saying I want to live with my stepfather, and my mother's burst into tears and all that sort of stuff. And then there was a bit of to-ing and fro-in, but then you sort of think, well, my mother can do that. I don't want chaos. I want peace. And I want to live with my father. Then he ended up doing it. to send me back because I was 15, 16. I mean, everyone's got hormones and everything going on.
Oh,
No
it's
angel at 15, 16. Probably became a bit of a chore and all that sort of stuff. So
how long did you live back with your mum then?
So then I lived back with my mother. Like I said, I was about 15, 16 when that happened. I moved out when I was about 18, 19 with a girlfriend at the time then. So I moved out and moved away to do that. Then I did go to uni, and I did spend time at my mother's in between sort of uni dates and all that sort of stuff. And then I kind of went, when I moved out, finished uni, moved out completely then.
Is your mum still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive.
How has your relationship changed since having Darcy with your mum? Now, like as you've just said, like how can parents do that?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I've got in my head, and that's why I kind of how can parents do that? Because I don't think there's anything on this world that Darcy could do that I would ever do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like speaking in the future. She may end up murdering somebody, but to be honest, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself ever doing that. So you just kind of think, you just kind of question. So if that's happened, so you've either got really your own struggles. I don't know how badly I could ever struggle, but I would end up doing that. And I'm just kind of just like, wow. So that kind of means you sort of, I mean, this has only really happened though. I've only really felt like that since I've had Darcy. Before that's just been something that's happened in my past. But now it's just kind of like, wow, how can you do that?
Oh, how
can you do that?
Yeah.
It's just like unbelievable. And I'm just like, right, I'd never do that to that little girl. But you managed to do that to me. So you're just kind of thinking then, right, so.
At an age where you remember though.
Yeah.
As
so
well.
I can remember a lot of that sort of
like being
stuff.
abandoned at 11 and 15 is totally different to being abandoned as a newborn.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking hell. Wild. I'm stumped now. Second question.
That was the first question. What's the second question?
What would you go back and tell your younger self if you could?
Probably confidence. Try and give myself a lot more confidence. I'm not got no confidence.
That's your buzzword.
So to speak. It is. I've not got no confidence, so to speak, now, but I probably have a bit more confidence in certain situations growing up.
Yeah.
I've kind of learned to be confident and things
You've
like that.
You've taught yourself confidence.
Yeah, and just to give yourself fully to sort of that happiness sort of feeling, because I've got to certain points where you feel happy, but you feel, all right, I've got to pull myself back a little bit, because the last time I felt really, really happy, I ended up being carted off here, carted off there as a youngster and all that sort of stuff. You kind of just tend to hold that in.
Do you see that in yourself now? Even as an adult?
I kind of just think to myself, look, you kind of get associated, when it happens this young, when you get that happy, you kind of just think, right, I need to sort of pull it back, because something always goes wrong when you get this happy. And you're just like, right, I'm really happy now, but pull it back, because if you think like that, something's going to go wrong. Think of something shitty quickly, something like that.
It's so true.
Yeah,
like we can laugh. Child abandonment is massive. Have you read about it?
No.
I'm going to send you some stuff. It'll blow your mind. But it's 100% because you're a dad. The way you are a dad is because of what happened to you when you were younger.
Yeah, and like I said, I think my experiences, but I've only really associated a lot of that since I've grown up and had Darcy.
Of course.
Rather than, you think about these things when you're growing up, and as you get older, you start to think sort of baffled, but then you realise, I mean, everyone says, oh, you never love everything like your kids, but when you don't really appreciate that until you've
had a kid.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So that's why I've sort of, I know earlier I said about sort of step parents, and I mean, so a lot of them have got their own kids, but I still don't think you can get that sort of connection with something that's not your own. I mean, I don't think I know my stepdad raised me, but I don't think it was, he still had that connection.
I think it was a duty.
Maybe a duty, maybe as my brother went back to live with my mother, he always thought if he had me, there'd be a little bit of a chance that my brother, because my brother was his, there'd be a little chance that my brother that my brother would come back. So maybe think this is on reflection now. Maybe a chance that would sort of happen, and then maybe he kind of got fed up of waiting for that sort of point and all that sort of stuff.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Do you speak to him?
We text every now and then. He's helped me with certain situations that have sort of cropped up recently. And like I said, I text my mother and all that sort of stuff. We don't see each other too often, but I haven't seen my mother for a good. Well, I did see her just around about sort of September time. I went down there, but before that it was a good sort of few years. But we don't have an ideal relationship really, and my views on our relationship I don't want sort of brought into all sort of Darcy.
Well,
so
you're not.
I've kind of sort of pushed that away, and I've kind of pushed her away from that at the moment. She has met Darcy though, but then sort of we got to sort of one, and and something flared up again, and I was just like, no, we're drawing a line under that now. That's not happening again. I'm not going back down that path. So that sort of stops. So she hadn't seen her since she was about 1, I think.
Before, I'm retracting quickly. Before we started filming, we were speaking about single parenting and co-parenting, and there's like a buzzword. Like you can't say single parent because you're not a single parent.
Yeah.
And you said something really interesting. If you become her sole parent, heaven forbid that will never happen, you feel that you would be a single parent because you don't have a support network. Because I don't have
a support network
that
around
is so,
me.
I love that. That is so true.
I mean, I've got good friends around me, don't get me wrong, but I don't think... I mean, there's also the confidence from me. I wouldn't want to leave my daughter with somebody like that. Well, not with somebody like that, with a friend. I mean, there's things like that. I mean, I trust a good group of my friends to the core like that, but I wouldn't leave her with them. But I would say that
Tash would have a village.
She's not necessarily a village, but she has got her mother, her father, her sister's very good with Darcy as well. She's also got a little one as well, so she has got people around her who will do that support, and they have actually supported us through times and looked after Darcy in that sort of time. But like I said, I think the sort of co-parenting is what we are doing and what we'll continue to do. But like I said, to be a single parent means kind of you're on your own.
I never thought of it like that.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree now.
You're on your own. You haven't got a network of people around you. I mean, like I said, I've got sort of friends and stuff like that, but maybe it's my sort of issue. I wouldn't want to leave them with them, but leaving your kids with friends as well. I mean, does that really... I don't know how often that happens, especially if they haven't got kids that sort of age.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's weird, isn't
my
it?
mates have they've got kids who are like, I don't know,
older.
One's 12, 13, they're older kids and things like that. And I know he'd do it for me if I was really, really struggling.
I would look after her, by the way.
But it's still that sort of thing, isn't it? Would I do it? But then that's what I would say would be a single sort of...
I agree.
In my eyes, though.
I know you've got a quote. You haven't got a book, so get on your phone and read me your quote.
Yeah, so it's mainly just going back to the sort of confidence thing that I've been sort of picking up on and saying, really. One of my favourite quotes is, "You must develop the ability to be disliked in order to free yourself from the prison of other people's opinions." So that's just that's kind of what I'm trying to instill in my daughter. It's just, especially, I think it's really relevant in this sort of day and age at the moment with social media and the buzz around the way that you look. I mean, obviously I want my daughter to be healthy and all that sort of stuff, but if she wasn't Instagram shape or physique or something, I still wanted to strut around. I still wanted to just pretend that she, feel like she is, sort of thing. So,
do you think that's a dad's responsibility?
I think a father's responsibility is to, like I said, is to get their child ready for the outside world and get them ready for it. You're almost to a point pushing them away. Like, mothers do a fantastic job of mothering and looking after them, but I think at some sort of point it needs to slow down and needs to stop. We've got very sort of different, not different ways, but different. Like, if Darcy's stuck on a climbing frame or something out the back, I'm more likely to say, right, how are you going to get out of this?
You're
then?
so much like my husband.
And watch her. I mean, I'll be there to catch her, don't get me wrong, but like, what are you going to do? Right, you need to put this leg down here and just more guide her to do it.
Rather than just go and pick her up.
Yeah, rather than just go pick her up and put her on the floor and then she'll go running off and say, you're going to get yourself in these tricky situations. I'd love to always be there, but unfortunately I'm not always going to be there when you grow up in your adult life. So...
Wow. You need to read the book. Do you read books?
Yeah.
The Courage to be Disliked.
I've heard of that.
That quote is like, I thought that's where it come from. It is. It's literally about, because people can perceive confidence to be just about how you look. Yeah. But actually it's got fuck all to do with how you look. It's how you feel. Because if you feel good, you'll look good.
And you're gonna get ridiculed. You're gonna get slammed. You're gonna get almost shamed by others, which is a horrible word to call it. Whether you're weak or whether you're strong. So you may as well be strong and just be able to brush it off.
It is your buzzword. I'm going to count how many times you've said it on here.
Send me a message later. 125.
I will. I know you've got to go.
Yeah.
Would you come back on once you've moved out?
100%.
To talk about like how that transition has been?
100%.
Fab.
Of course I will.
I will see you in the gym on the weekend.
Yes, perfect.